bear witness that there is but one God, regardless of language, regardless of geography. There is but one God. We thank Allah for raising up from among us his messengers and prophets, and all of his warners that have warned us over the years and given to us guidance. We thank him for Moses and the Torah. We thank him for Jesus and the gospel. And we thank him sincerely for Muhammad and the Holy Qur'an. As students of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, under the leadership of the honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, we can never thank Allah enough for intervening in our affairs and the divine person of Master Farrakhan Muhammad, and for his raising up from among us the black man in America, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. And we thank him never still for his continued mercy and grace in giving to us a wonderful divine messianic figure in our midst, in the honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. I would like to greet all that is present with the greeting words of peace and paradise of Assalamu alaikum. Of course, we are here for a couple of reasons. We are here to honor the life of our departed brother, Brother Ahmed Muhammad. And we are here also to comfort those who loved our brother. Is that right? Now, this ceremony is going to be upbeat and dignified. And in keeping with that, I would like everybody at this moment to just check your phone to make sure that it is on silent or vibrate, so that the dignity of what we're trying to do today is not hindered by our ringtones, all right? So if we would, let's go ahead and check our phones. It's okay to look at, I'm gonna look at mine. Because I definitely don't want to be the one whose phone goes off. Praise be to Allah, it's on silent. All right. Good. So anyway, to proceed, I want to, of course, mention that our dear brother, some lives are long and others are short. We on this week, we laid to rest a sister whose life was longer. Today, we laid to rest the life of a brother whose life was much shorter. But it does not mean that whether your life is short or long, that that life is any less significant. For we all know people who didn't live long, but they did a lot and touched a lot of people while they were here. Is that right? Brother Ahmed Rahmaan Muhammad was and is such a brother. To his wonderful parents, Brother Rashid and Sister Rashida, who came to the city of Baton Rouge. And the reason that we are wearing these stars and crescents today on our shoulder is because a man who, by the name of Abdul Rashid Muhammad, along with a black woman who was known at that time by Sister Diane, came to this city on their faith to raise up what became Mosque number 65. I want to thank the two of you for your sacrifices that you have made, that we all can be here today and give one another the greetings of peace of Assalamu alaikum. You have made a tremendous sacrifice, and we do not take your sacrifice lightly. I want to, of course, say to his siblings, his two very beautiful and handsome brothers, his beautiful sister, who is with us now, who is yet carrying within her womb additional life that will be of good to our nation. I want to thank you for your presence. I want to thank you for all of the sacrifices that you have made, because it is not easy for you to be in this situation. And to all of the extended family of Brother Abdul Rashid Muhammad and Ahmed Muhammad, we definitely are going through a trial, but Allah is God, and he is bigger than anything that we could possibly be dealing with. To Sister Kyla Muhammad, our brother's wife, I want to, words cannot express what we would say, but we want to let you know and let everybody know that Allah is God. No matter what you see, Allah is God, and he is the author of all things, all right? I'm going to do a short reading of the Holy Qur'an, and it is Surah 3, chapter 3, that we are going to read a couple of short verses with the help of Allah. And this relates to all of us, because all of us carry a message from God. Brother Ahmed carried a wonderful spirit, did he not? He carried a certain magnetic power that you didn't find in your average brother on the street. He carried something that God gave him for us to see and to look at. And when we look at the Honorable Louis Farrakhan, what he said about the death of COVID, all of that is instructive as we look at the situation that we're in now. The Mosque 65 is strong and will continue to be strong because the believers in this mosque and the family that is around Brother Rashid rally so quickly in support of one another. And the spirit of love has been upon all of us, no matter what we face. Is that right? That's right. So we're going to read something because all of us carry a message, including our brother Ahmed Rahmaan Muhammad. And Muhammad is but a messenger. Messengers have already passed away before him. If then he dies or is killed, will you turn back upon your heels? And he who turns back on his heels will do no harm to Allah, and Allah will reward the grateful. And no soul can die but with Allah's permission. The term is fixed, and whoever desires the reward of this world, we give it to him. And whoever desires the reward of the hereafter, we give him of it, and we shall reward the grateful. So when something happens, the first thought of those of us who have faith is the gratitude, being grateful for the time that we had with our loved one, to be grateful for those wonderful moments that we shared with that one that we loved. And we all loved Ahmed, is that right? Right. We loved him. And he was and is a radiant person that we will all remember for the rest of our life. Both the seed of Brother Rashid and the womb of Sister Rashida, we can see by those children that that's a blessed seed and a blessed womb. Actual fact. And we want to thank you for what you have given to us in our community. And we want to be grateful to God for what he has given us. We don't want to focus on this, on other things. We want to count the blessings that Almighty God, Allah, has given us. And each one of us is a blessing one to the other. For however long we're here, we want to be a blessing. Is that right? Right? We want to make sure that we leave a positive impact. This brother has put out whole rap albums to bring young people to the teaching of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Did y'all know that? Beautiful and talented. Performed at the Alton Sterling event that we put on. Did a wonderful and marvelous job and really electrified all the people who witnessed it. So we want to thank Allah for all that he has given us. And we don't want to be sad, we want to be glad because God is going to continue to bless us in the future. So having said that, I'm going to take my seat. May Allah bless each and every one of you as I greet you once again in the greeting words of peace. Assalamu alaikum. We are going to bring up at this time our first officer of Mosque number 65, Brother Garrett Muhammad. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent and Merciful, bear witness that there is no God but Allah. Bear witness that Muhammad is his messenger. I'd like to greet my beloved family once again in the greeting words of peace. Assalamu alaikum. I want to begin with a reading from the Holy Qur'an, chapter 30, Surah 30, ayah, verse 30. So set thy face for religion, being upright, the nature made by Allah, in which he has created men. There is no altering Allah's creation. That is the right religion, but most people know not. Today, I've been given the task of reflecting on the life of a brother that I met when he was only 10 years old in the mosque. A very beautiful brother that I've known for 15 years of his precious life. We had many personal conversations, and I shared with him many of my decisions and poor choices that led to me undergoing or experiencing a lot of things that could have been avoided. But I can say this was a brother that was filled with many gifts and talents. And I've always encouraged my beloved brother to develop and cultivate those gifts and talents, because Allah used him very well. Among his many gifts and talents, he was a great distributor of that final call.
Come on, man.
Also, in addition to being a great distributor of the final call that he called a messenger, he also was magnetic in his ability to bring guests, as we call it, but it's really our people, to the mosque. On many occasions, he was the top salesman of the final call, and on many occasions, he was the top fisherman. Many of us look in the mirror every day, and we see ourselves in a certain way. All of us was born innately with Allah, God's attributes. But we have to cultivate those attributes to manifest those attributes on a consistent basis. We also develop personalities and characteristics that we pick up in this world that are not necessarily from Allah. And so we find ourselves struggling for balance with the man or woman in the mirror. So we put on many faces throughout the day. Now, I can say that during the 15 years that I've known our beloved brother, I only received from him the best that he was able to give. Not that he was able to give, he could have gave better, but I received from him during those times, my interaction with Brother Ahmed was the best of himself, when his face was set on pleasing Allah. And that is what I can reflect on. Now, as parents who has the task of raising children, we know, for those of us that have children, know that that is a very difficult task, am I right?
Yes, sir.
And it's unfortunate that sometimes you may say something over and over again to your child, but it takes somebody else outside of the house to say something that you've been saying for years, and the light comes on. And unfortunately, that person tends to get the credit. But in the reflection, I want to wrap this up by quoting the words of our beloved brother from the album or CD that Brother Darrell just referenced, BWM, Brothers with Muhammad, which really, if you listen to the CD, it is really worthy of being on a multi-platinum level because of the substance that's contained in the words of the album. My favorite one is titled The Final Call, since I've been the Final Call paper captain for over a decade. And I'm going to say this. In that track, he states that you don't have to do a bundle, but you got to do something. For those of us that understand what he's talking about.
Come on now.
Do something. He stated, I'm about my father's business, raising brothers from the trenches. We got to save our people. Trenches, for those of us that may be a little older, may not understand the vernacular of young people. That means mud. That means deviation. You understand? The second one is titled Unity, which he performed often at events. And in that track, he states, we need unity. Come together, stand as one. That's how it's supposed to be. Let's stop the violence, stop killing one another over nonsense. Stop the beef, increase the peace. These aren't my words, this is our beloved brother's words. And in closing, the third one that I know that sets very well, soothes the soul of Brother Rashid and Sister Rashida in hearing his words. And I personally could relate very well to the song. being a child raised by a single mother. Sorry, mom. And giving credit to the father, Brother Rashid, in doing his part. He said, my daddy taught me the God way. And he goes on to say, my mama taught me right from wrong. And that is what we have to accept, is that as a community that's striving to be upright, we done our part and he done his part, but Allah is the best know. May Allah be pleased with our beloved Rahmaan the Great. Continuous hard work and effort to save our people from the trenches. Assalamu alaikum.
I want to mention at this time, because we all become captivated by things, but I wanted to mention that there is a man in our midst who is, of course, over 5 states in our nation, Minister Abdul Halim Muhammad, who traveled from Houston to make sure he was here with his fellow minister, his fellow colleague in the ministry of the Honorable Louis Farrakhan. I wanted to acknowledge the presence of our wonderful and beloved regional minister who is here to support and to, when Muhammad has a problem, Muhammad comes to solve that problem, all right? So I wanted to make sure I mentioned that and before we proceed. The other thing I wanted to do is bring up our brother Alex James. Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. All right, we're going to move right along. Dr. Wanda Raby Spurlock.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
So what I have to say today, I thought long and hard about so many things that I could have said, but I decided to entitle it, and I want you to listen carefully. Not only listen with your natural ears, but I want you to listen with your spiritual ears. Because what I have to say, some of you may find very simple, but yet, if you listen in the spiritual sense, then it will be profound as well. So I have entitled it, I'm a king, and there's a king in you. And you will come to know more about that meaning. And I thought about some people, they can go all the way through life, even into their adulthood, and still have the thoughts, what am I here for? They're still searching, trying to find themselves. What's my purpose, here in life? Why am I here on earth? But I'll have to say that was not Brother Ahmed, because he knew who he was, even from a small child. So those of us in his family, we got to interact with him, even at a young and, tender age. We got to spend a lot of time with him. And so we got to really to know Ahmed, and to understand who he really was. And more importantly, I would like to say that Ahmed saw himself the way that God saw him, that he was perfect, that he was complete. So I started to think about yesterday, what is the meaning, even of the name Ahmed? So I started to search that, and it was profound. It said, worthy of praise, most highly adored. So we just simply knew him by Ahmed, but look what the name means. Worthy of praise, most highly adored, or one who constantly thanks God. And so I really, honor his parents for giving him that name. Because oftentimes, in the natural, we'll just select the name. Oh, it's among the top 10 names, it sounds good, it's the name for this year. But look, his parents didn't just haphazardly, give him a name. Worthy of praise, most highly adored, or one who constantly thanks God. So we knew that really Ahmed, his insight was really beyond his age and years. And we would even look at him and sometimes just say, he just reminds me of a little old man. It's like he came here it's like he was just old in a sense, not old, but that he was just not in a sense, what a child would be, what you would think a child would be for his age per se. And the only way I could describe it is that he was just beyond his age and insight, and just in his understanding. And so I have to really just stop and pause and tell you the time that really focused my thinking, and I became even more aware of the person that Ahmed was. And so, you know, we spent a lot of time together, and this time, remember we came to Memphis to get Ahmed, and he came home to spend the summer with us. Boy, we had a blast, you know, that summer. Ahmed was always full of energy. You have to know that. So we had to like get up early to get prepared for Ahmed. When he got up, you couldn't just wait until Ahmed got up and get prepared. You had to already be up and prepared when his feet hit the floor, because that was just the way it was. But so we were just watching television, and Ahmed had his little toys out. And so, you know, a lot of those in my family, they heard this before, but this is what I've really patterned, you know, my talk behind. So we were just watching television. And so all of a sudden, Ahmed put his little toys down, and so he looked at my husband. He said, "I'm the oldest." And he said, "Yes, Ahmed." All of a sudden, Ahmed said, "My daddy is a king." I mean, it was just unexpectedly. And so my husband thought about it. I guess he was preparing some comeback or so. So he says, "Well, Ahmed," he said, "well, then that makes you a king's kid." Ahmed just would start playing with his little figurines and all. We thought he had forgot about it. All of a sudden he looks up. He says, "No, I a king too." Now that may sound simplistic or even humorous in a sense, but I thought that was profound, because first of all, I thought it was really profound that that's the way he viewed his father. And so they told me then that, you know, his father, his parents had to have instilled something in him that he would view, you know, his father as a king. And then I think that was even most profound. Most children would have just said, "Well, yeah, I am a king's kid." But no, Ahmed said, "No, I'm a king too." And so all I can say after that, I said, "And that you are Ahmed. You know, you are a king." And so, you know, every once in a while I would go to, you know, like Burger King and get a burger, but Ahmed always liked that, you know, the crown. So he put that crown around his head. I would like tape it up, untape it, he'd tape it loose. And sometimes I would just drive through and just ask him, I say, "Just, you know, please give me, you know, some extra crown." I said, because, you know, I just need some crown. And so he'd take that thing, he'd put it on and all, but look, that's the way Ahmed saw himself. He saw himself as a king, and he saw his father as a king. So I always knew that it was something special about him, and I could always see greatness in Ahmed. You know, some others maybe just looked at him and, you know, you could form your own opinions or whatever, but I would always tell, you know, my brother, my mother, and even, you know, my sister, I would say, there is greatness in Ahmed. And all you would have to do is just to be around him, you know, for a period of time, and you can tell that there was something different about him. And I always knew that Ahmed had a great, you know, he had a calling on his life. And when you have that calling, you know, on your life, we knew about it. Well, guess what? The enemy knew about it as well. But we knew that Ahmed was always special. Ahmed was confident for his age. You know, he had a high self-esteem. Ahmed really never ran away, you know, from a challenge. I can't say that he was ever fearful, but I know that he never let fear control him. So it's like whatever space Ahmed was in, guess what? Ahmed occupied that space. And I'm going to give you an example. When Ahmed and his family moved back to Louisiana, and I was talking to, you know, Sister Adela about this, he must have been like in about preschool. I think maybe preschool or kindergarten, and he was at Belfair Elementary School. It was like his first day back. And the phone rang. And who you think it was? I told you he went to Belfair. Who you think was calling on the phone? From the office of Belfair Elementary School. This is his first day. And so they said, well, Ahmed had gotten into a little slight altercation with a little boy in the hallway. So we came to find out, you see, that the kids, they started school at the normal time. So they had already formed their little groups, you know, their little cliques. And so I would imagine now we might call that bullying. Well, look, that day they picked the wrong one to bully. So as I told you, Ahmed didn't, back down for a challenge. He didn't go looking for trouble per se, but I guess he just said, well, you know what? I may as well just take care of this situation here right now. And you know what? After that, everybody wanted to be Ahmed's friend. And Ahmed never had any trouble with any of those little kids at that school again. So that was Ahmed. And so Ahmed was really, he was a loving person. Ahmed, loved his family, and he knew his family loved him. He would always, come and greet you with a hug. Even when my sisters would come, from out of state, he would always just be right there, just a hug. And then he would always say, I love you, Auntie Sudi. I love you, Aunt Janice. Love you, Aunt Gwendolyn. And he knew that we loved him too. He was very respectful. And then one thing I'll tell you about Ahmed too, he always said, yes, ma'am, no, sir. And we may take that lightly today, but we don't see a lot of that, in the world today. So that also tells us that he was brought up that way, that he was taught that way as well. And he would even tell you, yes, ma'am, and no, sir, even if you told him something that wasn't favorable. Sometimes we had some serious talks with Ahmed, and he may have perceived that it wasn't favorable. But you know what? He would just smile and he'd say, yes, ma'am.
That's right.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am, Auntie Sudi. Love you, Auntie Sudi. Love you, Auntie Janice. And that's just the way he was. And another thing is that I've never really heard Ahmed say anything negative about a person. I'm not saying that he didn't, but I never heard him say anything negative about a person. Wow, what are some things that we can really learn and emulate from Ahmed's life? He was always willing to lend a helping hand, and in fact, you can.
Excuse me. If you're driving a Sonata license plate 674DGZ, you need to move it right now. We sure appreciate it. Sorry.
Okay, well, I thought maybe that little bullet that I was referencing about in high school, where maybe come up here. But anyway, we can say that maybe, Ahmed had a helping hands ministry. He was always good with his hands. Whatever he set, his mind to do, Ahmed could do it. He just had an analytical, type of mind. He could put things together. He could take, things apart, and he just never, skipped a beat. So we know that he was multi-talented. And for those of you who ever had an opportunity to taste it, he made a really mean bean pie. How many of y'all had an opportunity to taste Ahmed's bean pie? Oh yeah, they were like to die for. So although this could be considered a sad time, that Ahmed, he wouldn't want us to be sad. He would want us to really to celebrate his life and to see him in the life that he was, and neither would he want, his life today to be defined by the tragic end. He wouldn't want us to see it that way. And so what I would like to do is to end, with the lyrics of a song by Donald Lawrence. And that song is called, There's a King in You. And I want you to just envision as though this is Ahmed, speaking to us today. There's a king in you. You come from royalty, an aristocratic dynasty. The goal of the enemy is that you don't know who you are. There's power when you speak. Be mindful of the words that you release. I know that life has challenged you, but the king in me speaks to the king in you. You were born to rule. There's a king in you. Is there a king in you? Then why do you speak with such defeat? Is there a king in you? Then why do you speak with such low self-esteem? I know that life has challenged you, but the king in me speaks to the king in you. You were born to rule, and Ahmed is telling you, in case you don't know, there's a king in you. Amen. Amen.
All praise is due to Allah. Now, at this time, our Janazah, as they are called, are not long ceremony. Nothing about it is long, because the person who has departed has already really written the testimony with what they've done already. Is that right? And there's no need for long words over hours. I know our sister Aretha Franklin thinks she had a 9-hour funeral, right? And I love Aretha, but we're not gonna do the Aretha. And the Honorable Louis Farrakhan did sit through about 8 or 9 hours of Aretha Franklin's funeral, but we're not gonna do that today, inshallah. But now at this time, what we're going to do is we're gonna bring forward our regional minister, our Southwest Regional Minister, Abdul Halim Muhammad, who of course is over this 5-state area, is in charge with carrying out the mission of the Honorable Louis Farrakhan in this 5-state area. We want to go ahead and bring him up at this time for words of comfort.
In the name of Allah, the blessed and merciful, I bear witness there is no God but Allah. I bear witness that Muhammad is his messenger. As a student of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, I can never thank Allah enough for his invention in our affairs in the person of Master Father Muhammad, who traveled 9,000 miles to seek and to save that which was lost. You can find no other people more fitting the description of the lost sheep, the lost coin, the prodigal son, the children of Israel, than the black man and the black woman of North America. We thank you for coming and seeking and finding one that would lead, teach, and guide us. For without him there is no Malcolm X, without him there is no Muhammad Ali, without him there is no Imam Wahiddin Muhammad. I speak of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, the eternal leader of the nation of Islam. We thank them both, Allah and the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, for not leaving us alone, but leaving in our midst in this day and time a light, a servant, a friend, a brother, a man with impeccable character, that his morals are sublime, and has courage that is rooted in love for us all. I speak of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. On behalf of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, First Lady Mother Khadija Farrakhan, the Executive Council of the Nation of Islam, Southwest Regional laborers, and all of the brothers and sisters, student ministers in our class, those who have traveled from near and far, we want to extend our sincere condolence and sympathy to you and the family at the departure of our brother Ahmed. I want to say to you, brothers and sisters, from the depths of our heart, that this service, this Janazah, this funeral, if you will call it that, is not for Brother Ahmed. This is for us. And no matter what we plan to do today, no matter where we plan to be today, Brother Ahmed has called us here. As Muslims, we open with a prayer. You heard Brother Jarrell open with a prayer. And in the prayer, we say, surely my prayer, my sacrifice, my life, and my death are all for Allah. So what we have to do today is, in this time of trouble, in this time of the coronavirus, and I want to, just a moment, the funeral director asked me to remind you, remember now we have elders among us, and I know it's difficult because we're black people, we love to hug and kiss and all of that, but we're going to have to try to refrain from that, particularly with our elders, because they're more susceptible to this disease that's going around. I say be prudent, you don't have to panic, but let's all be very mindful of that today, okay? But in this time of trouble, the Holy Qur'an says that we must take on the coloring of Allah. As we, right now, I never did like preachers who said you can't question God. You can question him. If he can't answer it, nobody can. He's the best of knowers.
Right, that's right.
So as there's nothing wrong, the Holy Quran says that for the Muslim or the believer, there is not fear nor is there grief. That does not mean that we don't mourn. That does not mean as men and women that we don't cry. But we don't grieve.
Right.
Because in the book of Job it says the Lord giveth, the Lord taketh away. But don't forget this part. Mr. Farrakhan points out to us, blessed be the name of the Lord.
Yeah. Right.
If we bless his name, then we understand that out of 1 billion sperm that was released by Brother Rashid, and received by Sister Rashida. Only one made it. That means Ahmed outswam 999,999,999 other sperm to be here. And you did too, and your sister did too. That means that he was meant to be here. None of us in here is a mistake. We're all individual miracles created by God, called here for a purpose. And what we have to understand is whether we live 99 years or we live 25 years, we are here to serve a purpose. For not a snowflake, not a blade of grass, not a leaf falls from a tree that God doesn't know about it. And most, we don't give a lot of flowers at our funerals. We don't even sing songs at our funerals. We don't. But I know when I go to Baptist church, we're going to hear the eyes on the sparrow going up to yonder. We're going to hear that, right? Right, okay. So I know he watches over me. Or this little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine, right? All right. So the point of this is to really bring comfort to the family and to those who are right now mourning the loss of our brother. But what we have to understand is this, is that we have to take on, as the Qur'an said, the coloring of Allah. What does that mean? You know, right now, many of you, I'm looking in your faces, and you're a little blue right now. That's your color. Because you're a little down, you're a little depressed, you're a little hurt, so your color is blue. Well, if I looked at your garment, I said, "Ooh, you look good." So, some sister might be envious, and that color is green. And then this thing might be taking too long for some of y'all, so you might be angry, so the color might be red. And then many of us won't come before the people and say what needs to be said. And that color is, you say the color of a person who is cowardice is yellow. So each mood that we have has a color. But Allah in the Quran asks us to take on his color, which is to take on the mind, the will, the spirit, the very essence of what God is thinking right now. That means that you and I have to, as Paul says, in Christ, he died daily in Christ, so that Christ could live in him. So you and I are going to have to forget who we are and let God live in us. And ask the question, why? Why are we here? Why now? Why Ahmed? Why not me? You could think of about 1,000 other people that should be in here instead of him. So all of these questions are in your mind, and rightfully so. But understand, brothers and sisters, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan points out to us, just like Brother Darrell referred to in terms of Kobe Bryant, God oftentimes takes the best of us to save the rest of us.
Go ahead, bro.
As it says in John 3:16, it says, God so loved the world, he gave his only begotten son. Well, we have a different spin on that in the Nation of Islam. I'm not going to put it as a spin, I'm going to give you the interpretation of it. God didn't love this world. He loves the world that is to come. And in order to save you and I, he sacrificed his own son so that we may have eternal life if we believe in him. Well, brothers and sisters, Ahmed, his beautiful name means greatly praised. The only one that's worthy of praise is God himself. And the one that comes in his name, the Messiah, he is praiseworthy. And so what we want to do, brothers and sisters, is we want to focus ourselves on, God, you called me here to hear these words, to be a part of this ceremony, to be a part of this Janazah. God, what do you want me to see about me? Not about Ahmed. Not about the person next to you. What do you want me to see about myself? So as I sat here and I reflected and I listened to Doc as she talked about her nephew, and I chuckled, and I just was bearing witness behind her. And I thought about this wonderful life that has gone before us. Now I think about mine. Think about the moments that we waste, the things that we do that are not productive. And God has given us another opportunity. Ahmed has called us here. His last deed was to call us here so that we could reflect on what we have and have not done. And in the time that God has given us, there is eternity before we're born and eternity after we pass. And in that eternity, between those two eternities, is a small thing called a dash. Sunrise, sunset. Just an instant of time. My brothers, my sisters, the Holy Qur'an says it like this. In the creation of the heavens and the earth, in the alternation of the night and the day, there are signs in this for men, and parenthetically women, of understanding. Brothers and sisters, Mr. Farrakhan poses the question and asks the question, where will we be without pain? You say, I'm in pain, God. And you have the right to ask the question, God, why? I'm in pain right now. Why, Ahmed? Why now? And he would answer you. Would we have Negro spirituals without our pain? Would we have gospel music without our pain? Would we have hip hop without our pain? Would we have jazz without our pain? Would we, sisters, have life without you going through pain? Everything that we want, everything that we fought, bled, and died for has come with pain. We're not going to be able to avoid the pain. The question is, what do you do with the pain? Do you turn the pain into pity, or do you turn the pain into power? Do you turn the pain into pity, or do you turn the pain into purpose?
Go ahead.
And so, for us, brothers and sisters, we have to turn our pain to purpose. Brother Ahmed was very special. He was a star. And understand, brothers and sisters, his star, his light is not going out. His light has touched each and every one of you. We now must pick up the torch that he carried, that he bared, and we must take it forward. If not, then this is all in vain. And so I close by simply saying that, love, Minister Farrakhan teaches us, is the creative force out of which we make something out of nothing. We love our women. We love and we're taught to honor, respect, and protect the black woman, in particular, but all women, but particularly our sisters, because in our enslavement, through our pain, you were able to take nothing and make something out of it.
Go ahead.
And through our civil rights movement and our human rights movement, unfortunately, sisters don't really get the credit that they should have, like the Ella Bakers and others, and the Fannie Lou Hamers and others. Of course, the focus is on Dr. King and Malcolm X and others like that, but we very rarely talk about them sisters that was doing the work.
Go ahead.
We can't even talk. Ahmed was born in 1995 during the year of the Million Man March. There's been no Million Man March without them million women backing us up, brother. So we have to understand, beloved, that out of love comes creativity. And as one thing sets, another thing rises. And there's a connection between heaven and earth. You cannot ever look at life, whether it's good, bad, or ugly, and don't calculate God in it. Put God in every calculation that you make. Put God in every thought that you have. And brothers and sisters, life is too short to carry grudges.
Thank you.
I say something wrong?
No, sir.
Life is too short to carry grudges.
That's right.
To have a grudge against somebody who's moved on, they moved on, is like somebody living in your house and they paying you no rent. Ahmed's life, his prayer, his sacrifice, his life and his death were all for Allah. And so now as we go back to our places of abode, as we reflect on his life, and more importantly, reflect on our own lives, let us make contribution to the onward march of our people. And let us make contribution to the onward march of humanity. And let us do all that we can to honor the time that we've spent here together. Because brothers and sisters, I can give you money, I can lose money, I can drop my wallet on the floor, and Brother Darryl can pick it up and he can take my money. I can always get money back. We got a fire at our house, Brother Rashid, and all our clothes burn up. We can always get clothes back, and if we got good insurance, we can get our house back. But one thing we can't get back, brothers and sisters, we can't get back time. The time that we just spent together will be wasted if you don't take what lesson that God is giving you right now and make something out of it. So we're here to celebrate his life. We thank Allah for him, for his parents that gave birth to him, for your mama, your lovely mama that's sitting behind you there, brother. She look good like that. It must be they go gene. And we want all of you to reflect and to embrace. Well, we can't do a lot of embracing, kind of do like this to the family before we leave out of here. Now, do we have some mints, Sister Deborah? We do. I like to give it to the family if we can. And if we have enough, then we can give to others, but we'll make sure that we get mint. Start with the family. Now, okay, we look like we got enough. Now this is, y'all take these mints, open it up, put it in your mouth. Let me have one too. Here you go. All right, everybody take a mint. This ain't no Muslim trick. Come on. Muslim trick. What they finna do? Where them woods come from? Came from a stone. But in our Janazah prayer, as we're passing out the mints, I want you to take it out, put it in your mouth. In our Janazah prayer, which most of you won't necessarily be able to hear us say, a few of us are going to line up here at Ahmed's casket and remind you prayer. But I want you to listen to the words of part of the ending of the prayer. It says, "Oh Allah, grant protection to our living and to our dead, and to those of us who are present and those of us who are absent, and to our young and to our old folk, and to our males and our females, O Allah, whosoever thou grantest to live from among us, cause him to live in Islam or submission. And whosoever thou causest to die, make him to die in faith." And then listen to this last part, y'all, as y'all get your mint out. Open the mint, put it in your mouth. Put it in your mouth. Got it? O Allah, do not deprive us of his reward, and do not make us fall into trial after him. Do not deprive us of his reward. Now you would think, God, doesn't he get his reward for what he did? How could we be deprived of his reward? Because, brothers and sisters, the work that we do while God brings us to earth is to answer the prayer of an ancestor that made that prayer, whether they were on the slave ship, the plantation, or working to fight against Jim Crow to bring our people forward. They didn't live to see the fruit of what they did. They planted a tree that they would never eat the fruit from. They planted a tree, the shade of which they would never bask in. Ahmed planted a tree.
That's right.
Ahmed planted a tree. Ahmed paid it forward.
Come on.
His reward is for us who are still living.
Go ahead.
The question is, will we be denied his reward by denying the God that he did it for?
Come on now. What? Yeah.
So, you got that mint in your mouth?
Yes,
Come on now. You know that mint is. That mint is Ahmed.
Come on now. Go ahead.
He's sweet. Ain't he, auntie? Where's the auntie? Where's the doctor? Ain't he sweet? Ain't he sweet? He's a king, right? He was spicy. Those of you know it. He was spicy and feisty. Is that right?
Oh, yes.
Mm-hmm. But the vicissitudes, the changes of life is like the saliva in our mouth. And whether we live to be 25 or to be 100, eventually this earthen vessel cannot hold the essence of God and returns from whence it came. Quran says, "Speak not of those who are slain or die in the way of Allah as being dead. Nay, they are alive, but you perceive not." It's hard to perceive through your tears. It's hard to perceive given the circumstances. But if you just wait, by and by, God will quietly tell you what you should know about this situation. But the vicissitudes of life will melt down, and eventually we're going to go. Our physical body is going to go back to the earth. But you know what? As we talked about Ahmed, as we think about Ahmed, we can still taste it. You still taste it. He's gone, but yet he's still here. If you just close your eyes and let that savor on your tongue, you can still taste Ahmed. You can still hear him. You can still feel him. You can still touch him. And eventually, as we go by and by, the only thing that'll be left is his sweet memory. That's the meaning of the mint Master Father Muhammad taught us to give out at funerals, so that we would understand this sweetness with the bitterness of the time. Thank you so much. May Allah bless you, and we'll now rise for our Janazah prayer. And those... Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Glory and praise to thee, O Allah, and blessed is thy name, and exalted is thy majesty, and there's none worthy of worship but thee. I seek refuge in Allah against the accursed Satan. In the name of Allah, the beneficent, the merciful. All praise is due to Allah, the Lord of the world, the beneficent, the merciful, master of the day of judgment, in which you now live. Thee alone do we serve, thee alone do we beseech for help. Will Allah guide us on the right path, the path of those upon whom thou hast bestowed thy favors, not the path of those upon whom thy wrath brought down, nor those who go astray. Ameen. Ameen. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. O Allah, make Muhammad successful, and make the true followers of Muhammad successful, as thou did make Abraham, the true followers of Abraham, successful, for surely thou praised and magnified. And O Allah, bless Muhammad, and bless the true followers of Muhammad, as thou did bless Abraham, the true followers of Abraham, for surely thou art praised and magnified in our midst. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. O Allah, grant protection to our living and to our dead, and to those of us who are present and those of us who are absent, and to our young and to our old folk, and to our males and our females. O Allah, whomsoever thou grant us to live from among us, cause him to live in Islam or submission, and whomsoever thou causest to die, make him die in faith. O Allah, do not deprive us of his reward, and do not make us fall into trial after him. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Thank you. Way of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, commit our brother. From earth he comes, to earth he returns, and from the earth he will come again. Let us pray. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, Malik Yawmiddin, Iyaka nabudu wa iyaka nasta'in, Ihdina sirata al-mustaqim, sirata al-ladina an'amta alayhim, ghayril maghdubi alayhim waladdallin. Amen. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, all praise is due to Allah, the Lord of the worlds, the Beneficent, the Merciful, Master of the Day of Judgment, in which you now live. Thee alone do we serve. Thee alone do we beseech for help. O Lord, guide us on the right path, the path of those upon whom thou hast bestowed thy favors, not the path of those upon whom thy wrath brought down, nor those who go astray. O Allah, we beseech thy help, we ask thy mercy, for we believe in you, we trust in you for all that we need. We are helpers in your cause with your apostle. Please grant us success. O Allah, we seek thy refuge from anxiety and grief. We seek thy refuge from lack of strength and laziness. We seek thy refuge from cowardice and niggardliness. We seek thy refuge from being overpowered by debt and the oppression of men. O Allah, suffice thou us from what is lawful. Keep us away from what is prohibited. And with thy grace make we free of want of all that is besides thee. Amen.
On behalf of the family, I'd like to thank the minister for presiding over the services and sharing the word of God with us. And to the family, I hope that was something that I personally did on my staff at the Self Funeral Home to make this time just a little easy for you. As owner and general manager of the Self Funeral Home, I'd like to thank you for giving us the privilege and honor of serving you during your hour of need. And to all my young black men that's out here, I've worked side by side with this gentleman right here to try to help curb the senseless killing that's going on in these streets that we're doing one to another. He was once one of those people that was in the streets, but he turned his back on the enemy and the devil. And he's out here trying to do things to try to get our young black men to stop this senseless killing. This is the worst part of my job that I have to do when I have to come to a gravesite and bury another young black man. We need to wake up, and we need to stop killing each other for nothing. It's not worth it. So if I've affected anyone, just one person out here, I've done my job. We need to love one another. We need to talk some things out instead of shooting it out. This concludes the service.
May Allah bless you all. Have safe travels back to your places of abode. May Allah continue to grant you every good desire. Continue to strive to be a good believer. Whatever faith tradition you choose to follow, live it out. As Jesus said in John 14:12, verily, verily, I say unto you, he that believeth in me, the works that I do shall do also. And greater works shall he do, because I go unto the Father. And anything you ask in his name, he will give unto you. So if you believe in that, then live it out. For us as Muslims, either Allah is God and Muhammad is his messenger, or he's not. So whatever faith tradition you choose, live it out. If you're in them streets, remember, come on back home. Come on in the mosque or the church and get something going, because this is a day and time you don't want to be out there in the streets. In regard to Ahmed, the words of the Qur'an is, anyone who murders a Muslim, Allah is wroth with them. That's not just angry, he's wroth with them. Right. Remember, he's the ultimate arbitrator of justice. And all you will do is continue that cycle that initiated with him. Let it end here, and let God take over. And let's heal our community, and let not his death be in vain. All right? May Allah bless you. Have safe travel. We are dismissing this time. All right, believers. Let's line up, let's rank up, and let's give a final salute to our brother. Nation of Islam, 10. Original salute. Ready, front. Ball out.
BWM, we care music.
Yeah. BWM. Rahmaan the Great. We need unity. Ooh, come together, stand as one, that's how it's supposed to be. Ooh, stop buying and start producing for our community. We gotta do something for self. Listen, we need to do something for self. Let's stop the violence. Ooh, stop killing one another over nonsense. Stop the beef, increase the peace is what I'm hollering. Ooh, stop the beef, increase the peace is what I'm hollering. Look, this what I'm hollering. Look, this for that problem child. Ooh, for the one who don't like school, straight violent child. This This for that doctor and that lawyer and that teacher child. This for that church boy, girl, or that preacher child. This for the whole black race. We have to start to come together and be about our cake. Forget the label and the names. We all black today. Let's be productive in this world and not destructive of self. Let's put our niggas and dimes together and do something for self. 46 million blacks in America. I'm telling ya, if we could come together, we can rule overnight. If you can't vision what I see, go get some Visine tonight. We destined to be on top, not to tell her to pipe. We can't be independent, not depending on someone else. Look at the Chinese and Arabs, they're a perfect example. One finger can't do much, but with his brothers, he a hand. I think you get just what I'm saying, love. We need unity. We need unity in this black community. We need unity. We gotta do something for self. We gotta do something for self. We need unity. We need unity in this black community. We need unity. We gotta do something for self. Listen, look, we need to do something for self. If you wanna see the future, just take a look at you and me, my brother and my sister. We need to build some unity. Let's work together, collaborate. I'll do for you and you do for me. Let's uplift, lend a helping hand, be a stronger woman, be a better man. Cause look at society, they lied to me, telling me that I could be anything that I tried to be. But the American dream, man, it's obsolete. So we gotta do our own thing, put our own money in our own banks, build our own schools and educate the youth with the history we made. Just look at the vision. Just look at the life that our people were living, man. We gotta do different. We out on a mission for making that difference, man. Regardless of religion, it don't really matter, you Muslim or Christian. We all God's people, right? We all deserve some equal rights. Let's come together and make it right. Let's make it right. Let's come together. Let's just unite. Look, if we don't come together, then what's the future for us? We just some crabs in the bucket trying to gain us some bucks. We need unity. We need unity in this black community. We need unity. We gotta do something for self. We gotta do something for self. We need unity.